Allah Akbar! Allah Akbar! Allah Akbar! Allah Akbar!
Okay, so it seems like the viewer really wanted me to get this one correct. So, for allegiance, Rodion. Allegiance is like Russian and former NATO forces, and he told me to use the Cascade skin. Now, there's not a Cascade skin, but there is a Cascade skin. And since they're spelled really closely, and this is in fact a military outfit, I assume this is what he wanted me to use. And just so he can see that I use all of his attachments, we have the 8.1 compact barrel in the Black Cat version that he asked. I am using the Steel Curtain blueprint. He also asked for that. I'm using the VLK 3.0 Optic. 545 in Black Cat, not default, not Gilded Arm, Black Cat. I have the Commando Foregrip and the Forged TAC Ultralight. And the RPG-7. And it's all gonna be used on Rodion. Now all I need to do is play the game until I end up on the Allegiance side. Fuck, I'm Coalition. God damn it, I'm Coalition again. This video was brought to you by Saharaz Kong Anon, which is one of my viewers who left a comment and told me to do a specific loadout. Now, he actually recommended two different loadouts because he added another comment after I uploaded that teaser video telling me that he wanted to change up the loadout and that I also should only be using this loadout when playing on Allegiance, which is kinda RNG, so getting the gameplay for this, kind of a pain in the ass. But both of them use the AK-74U. The first one he recommended uses the Steel Curtain blueprint, and the second one he recommended uses the Black Cat blueprint. And I'm not entirely sure what the theming of this build is. In the very first comment, he mentioned that they may have been one of Barkov's Mercenaries, but in the second one, he just says Russia. So Barkov's Mercenaries are Russian, but is this meant to be normal Russian soldier? Russian Spetsnaz, Russian mall cop, I don't know. Russian mall cops might have fucking AKs. It's Russia, dude. But anyway, let's go over the parts of the gun that are identical between the two. So they both use the 8.1 inch compact barrel, particularly the Black Cat variant. Now, I've already gone over what this barrel does. It completely destroys your recoil. You're gonna have you're going to be feeling the barrel when you're shooting the gun. It has way more recoil, both horizontal and screen shake wise. Also, it definitely increases your vertical recoil. In exchange, you have a much faster aim down sight speed, and you do move significantly faster. Now, I'm not gonna go on a big rant like I did last time because you have that entire video of me complaining about it. But we're just gonna say here that I wouldn't recommend this barrel. In my opinion, it's too extreme. Too much recoil, and the benefits of movement and aim down sight speed, they're good, but you have stipple grip tape, you have a stock, you have a TAC laser, you have the 5 milliwatt laser, you have a ton of attachments that have the same effect with way less downside. So personally, I wouldn't recommend it. The second attachment that is shared between the two gun loadouts is the VLK 3.0 Optic. Now, 3.0 refers to the magnification, meaning this is a 3 times magnification optic. And if you know anything about the Warzone meta, you would know that a lot of people equip the VLK on like an LMG or a M4 with a super long barrel because apparently it reduced recoil, but I have zero proof that that's correct. And personally, I never really used magnified optics other than the LCAN, because every time I do use a magnified optic, I'm trying to cosplay an American operator, not really cosplay a Russian operator. So this was kind of a new experience for me. Overall, the VLK 3.0 optic is pretty good. The reason is this sight picture. So when you're looking down an optic, there are two things to pay attention to. Number one is the glass part. The glass part is essentially the clear part of the optic where the red dot or the scope markings or whatever you call the reticle, that's the clear part. Now you have to contrast that to the outer casing, the outer shell. For example, when you're running an EOTech is a 1.5 times magnification optic or 1.3 times, but it also has a much bigger shell than something like the Aimpoint Micro. But the EOTech, as a result, also has a larger sight picture. So there's downsides and upsides to this. And in terms of using the VLK, I did not find the casing of the optic particularly distracting. I actually thought it worked perfectly fine. Sometimes you use an optic and it's just way too goddamn bulky. It's like I can't see anything when I'm shooting this other than the sight picture. Speaking of sight picture, the VLK has a pretty decent sight picture. It's a perfect circle as far as I can tell, and it's relatively big. So you can definitely see a little bit around the target. The reason why this is important is if your optic is too zoomed in and the sight picture is too small, you could kill someone. But there could be a guy standing 2 feet away from the person you just killed and you would miss them. So a larger sight picture allows you to get better situational awareness of not only your surroundings, but the surroundings of the people you are shooting at. And that's very important. Would I recommend this optic? Yeah, it's nice. Now this is the third and final shared attachment, and that would be the 545 by 39mm ammunition. Now, for those of you who don't know, Russia switched to this ammunition in 1974, I believe, and it came about as a response to the NATO 5.56 caliber, because we had the whole Vietnam War shebang and the Iraq War. I don't think the Iraq War happened yet, but essentially 5.56 proved itself to be a pretty badass cartridge, and Russia was like, you know, at the end of the day, 7.62 by 39, it's pretty cool, but it could be better. And so they switched over to 5.45, and there's like some myths around this cartridge. I don't know, some people call it La Venom Bullet, and apparently you get shot by it, and then 20 years later the Reaper himself comes to chop off your head. Now that's just me fucking around. It's called the Venom Bullet because apparently the wound channels from this caliber really hurt. And by really hurt, I mean normally when a bullet goes through you, it's a straight line. Apparently when 5.45 goes through you, it looks like a tree branch. So shooting somebody with this, even if they do survive, they're gonna definitely need medical, like some person do some surgery on them, close the wound, disinfect it. Now normally that applies to every bullet, but apparently the 5.45 cartridge in particular has such a reputation that it literally got like this edgy nickname called the Venom Bullet. Anyway, for how it works in modern warfare. So the thing with the 5.45 ammunition is it has the same, at minimum, it has the exact same shots to kill as 7.62, but fires faster. Now you may be wondering, is there a point to 7.62? And yes. So 5.45 is actually better at close range, 7.62 is better at long range. So let's say theoretically, within 15 meters, 5.45 kills in 3 shots. Same thing goes for 7.62. But because 5.45 has less recoil and a faster fire rate, you're going to be getting that 3-shot kill faster. Where this falls off is at range. Now, the 7.62 is a maximum 4-shot kill, which means no matter the distance, assuming you're hitting body shots in multiplayer, they should be dying in 4 shots. This is not the case for 5.45. In exchange for that faster close time to kill, you get a longer far time to kill. Rather than a 4-shot time to kill at maximum range, it becomes a 5-shot time to kill, which is not terrible. They're like the M4s, like not the M4s, The M4, the M13, those are 5 shots to kill at a distance, but in general, I'd say you rather want 7.62 at range, even though it has more recoil, because, you know, you just land 4 shots and they're done for. That's not to mention that the 4-shot kill range, or not really 4-shot kill range, but the 7.62 cartridge in general just has better range. So that 3-shot kill range I mentioned earlier is not equivalent to the 5.45 3-shot kill range. It is significantly higher. So you're going to be getting a lot more 3 taps when using 7.62. Right, and now this is where we divert in terms of attachments. So there are 2 different stocks and 2 different foregrips. Now, the first foregrip he recommended me is the one I prefer, the Commando Foregrip. Now, for those of you who don't know, this is essentially an angled foregrip, and the main purpose of this is it helps your aiming stability, so it essentially lowers the amount of idle sway you receive, and it also helps with horizontal bounce and visual recoil. Now, when you're shooting a gun, and say that it goes up a straight line, right? Horizontal bounce would be how much it would deviate to the left and how much it would deviate to the right while going up this straight line. It is different than recoil control. Recoil control is essentially making the recoil smaller, not really making it less vertical or less, actually it does make it less vertical and less horizontal, but the main advantage for the main advantage for this horizontal recoil, I believe it's called recoil stabilization, is that the visual kick is heavily reduced when you're using this rather than just the real kick. Now, you may be wondering, why is this important? Wouldn't you want to reduce real recoil instead of visual recoil? And the thing is, though, when you have a ton of visual recoil, you can't actually see your target. Your optics or your iron sights will not be shooting where they're pointing. So if you're in an extended gunfight, you essentially have to memorize where the middle of your screen is and how much your screen is shaking and adjust where you're pointing your gun at. So essentially, rather than pointing the optic at the gun, or pointing the optic at the enemy, you're going to be pointing the optic at the enemy, then you shoot, and then you need to memorize where the middle of the screen moves. Now, it's not always the middle. The screen could shake. And because the screen is shaking, the point of impact may shift from the middle of your screen, and you need to get used to that. So it actually is a little more tricky than just point and shoot. It becomes point, memorize, and adjust, then, you know, kill. And in that case, recoil control is really good for guns with low visual kick. Recoil stabilization is extremely important for guns with a lot of visual kick. Now, remember that 8.1 inch Black Cat barrel? That 8.1 inch compact barrel? Yeah, in that case, my main issue with that gun is not only does it have really high actual recoil, it also has extremely high visual recoil. So, in my opinion, visual recoil is a lot more difficult to deal with. So I'd rather have the Commando Foregrip rather than the Merc Foregrip. This is because, like I said, Commando Foregrip reduces visual recoil, Merc Foregrip reduces felt recoil. And while both are really high when you're using the 8.1 inch barrel, I put a higher emphasis on visual recoil. There's also the benefit given to the Merc Foregrip. And the benefit of the Merc Foregrip is that it increases your hip fire by like 17%. So you're gonna be decently more accurate when you're hip firing. And because you're running an 8.1 inch barrel, the hip fire is already higher. So you could use a Merc Foregrip and 8.1 inch compact barrel as a sort of close quarters hip fire build, which makes sense considering you're using the 5.45 by 39 ammunition. There's also the downsides. The downside for the Commando Foregrip is that your character moves slower and moves much slower when aiming down sights, while for the Merc Foregrip, your character moves slower and aim down sights slower. Now, the final attachment is the difference between the stocks. Now, in the first loadout he suggested, he wanted me to use the TAC Ultralight. Now, what that stock does is it increases your aim walking movement speed. So when you aim down sights and you attempt to move, if you use that stock, you're going to be moving faster, which is good in gunfights because strafing is how you dodge bullets. It's much harder to hit a moving target than it is a still target, and while you may be moving in both cases, the Forged TAC allows you to move faster. Now, in the second loadout, he told me to use a skeleton stock. And skeleton stocks, I think, are the best stocks in the game because they come with two benefits. They increase your aim down sight speed, and they increase your aim walking movement speed. Now, you may be wondering, well, if they do both, why would you just use the aim walking movement speed stock or the aim down sight speed stock? And the answer is it's because it's a halfway measure. Because it does both, it does neither as well as their dedicated attachments. So for the movement stock will make you move faster than the skeleton stock. The aim down sight speed stock will make you aim down sights faster than the skeleton stock. The benefit of the skeleton stock is that it benefits both sides while using only one attachment slot. The downside being it doesn't do it as well as those two dedicated attachments. I still think the benefit of having both is really important. Versatility is one of the best things you can go for in a first-person shooter game. You don't know what type of engagement you're going to get into. You could cross a corner, there could be a guy far away. You could cross a corner, there could be a guy up close. So the fact that this stock allows you to essentially engage with both types of opponents and have an advantage in both cases. Like for example, the guy at far range, I'm not really going to be strafing as much because if I'm strafing at a long range, I might also start missing. But in close quarters, you're going to be wanting aim down sight speed in case you're sprinting, and aim walking movement speed in case the gunfight keeps going. So the benefits of skeleton stock are both pretty apparent. And he also recommended the secondary, for once, is not a handgun. He told me to use an RPG-7, which, yeah, I mean, there's a reason everyone calls this gun cancer. But anyway, that should be it. I did the two loadouts, and hopefully Sahara's Kong Anon can see that I played only Allegiance, only Rodion, only Cascade Skin Rodion, and that he should be satisfied because I am fairly sure that I followed his instructions down to the letter.